Stop stealing people. Listen, the Chiefs Niners, week 7. That's what it was.
Oh.
It was if the Niners win, what is she going to do for me?
I think he was going to give you Niner seats way down low.
Right.
He goes, I know you sit in the bleeds. And I was like, no, he's got good seats. And he's like, no.
Jesus.
I mean, you could smell the Gatorade. That's what he said from where his seats are.
So he'll give me his seats. And if the Chiefs beat the Niners, I have to pay for a Taylor Swift ticket.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a pretty pity because the Niners ain't winning that week 7
Well,
game.
you could flip your tickets. You know, you could figure out a way.
I mean, the Niners are, come on. Can we just mark that as an L?
Well, Brent is a St. Brendan, St. Ignatius educated man, so.
Oh, man. The Niners not winning against the Chiefs, man. Why am I making this bet? Why?
That does not sound like an equal bet on your end.
It doesn't sound like an equal bet because Taylor Swift tickets are like $1,000, right?
And those are for like nosebleeds.
Oh, my God. Nosebleeds are $1,000?
Oh, Taylor Swift tickets are ridiculous.
$1,000 for nosebleeds?
So I've got to.
What happens at this concert? Are they sprinkling gold into the crowd?
It's in the presence of Taylor Swift.
And it sounds like this family likes to smell the Gatorade. So sitting in the nosebleeds is a no-go for them. So what do? Want to smell the scent, the perfume that Taylor Swift is wearing? Do they want some to glitter off her lipstick? Crying out loud. What are you trying to do? Break me? Max out the credit card? Oh, come on, Niners. Don't lose to the Chiefs in week 7. Oh, I'm already stressed over that game. Training camp hasn't even started.
Really quick, so she's playing at Hard Rock in October. So this is at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. The cheapest ticket that gets you in for the 300 level, oh, it's bad. $1,873.
No.
All right, yeah, we got to figure out a different bet, man.
No. That can't be real.
We got to figure out a different bet.
That's off StubHub.
You know what?
$1,800 for the 300s?
Listen. Bet off, young lady.
Like, no.
I'll buy you a Taylor Swift T-shirt so you can go to the concert. Bet off. Because one, I know the Niners ain't beating the Chiefs. Niners ain't beating the Chiefs. And two, I got a little daughter going to Montessori school. I can't be maxing out the credit card for no Taylor Swift concert. $1,800 just for nosebleeds. And what you say? He likes to smell the Gatorade. That's how close the seats are. Yeah, I'm not doing it. Bet off. I'll get you some Taylor Swift swagger. How about that? $100 worth of Taylor Swift swagger for me just slandering her. I'll do that for her. But we ain't making no bet, especially against Patrick Mahomes. And I already told you, Niners go to the NFC Championship game. Chiefs are on the other side. Just lose the damn game. Forget New Orleans. Let's just bow out in the NFC title game, call it quits.
Is there any ticket out there that you would pay $1,800 for, just for any event ever?
Oh, that's a great question. So
pretend you could be sitting wherever you want. I guess
great
for
question.
this
so
exercise.
I will say, shout out to Boxer Gerson for the NFC Championship game at SoFi Stadium against the LA Rams.
That was pretty close to worth it.
That was worth it.
Even though he lost.
I'll tell you, my ticket cost $1,500 for that game. Now, they reimbursed me and everything like that. I didn't know that going in. I was just like, I'm spending $1,500 to be comfortable. That was the most I've ever spent for a game. And I felt like, and I just swiped the credit card, didn't even think twice about it.
I'm not going to say how much I paid for my 2 seats in Boston, game 3 and game 4. Just going to keep that to myself.
It was above $1,500?
No, it was about that. And if my wife's listening, she's not going to be happy.
Oh, yeah, no.
How many Taylor Swift concerts could you have gone to off of them?
Apparently not one.
1.5.
Apparently not one.
For the 2 games.
You said nosebleeds were $1,800.
I mean, Jesus.
That got me into the NFC Championship game, and I was able to buy food. So it sounds like I can't get into Taylor Swift concert with $1,500. Damn. Jeez, they were trying to run me through the ringer. Slick, what's his name again?
Brent.
Hey, Brent, tell your daughter to bet's off. But I got Taylor Swift swag coming her way.
Okay.
You just let me know. You coordinate that. You tell Brent to get with me. But first of all, we know the Chiefs are winning at Levi Stadium. And we know I'm not spending $4,000 for you to go see what type of perfume, smell what type of perfume she's wearing.
So
we're not doing that.
All this money talk this morning, you're actually setting me up pretty well today.
Monday.
Dak Prescott had come out and said that he doesn't play for the money, right? He doesn't play for the money. Now, do we pull that cut, boys? Do we
have it right here? You want to play?
Yeah, I want to play right now because I think this is as we talk. I'm going to transition to the Giants and the Niners because there are money conversations, and there's a consumer conversation that I want to have with the audience today.
Money, Monday.
Play the Dak Prescott sound and let's talk.
At some point, we need Kitty. And by the way, Kitty with that fresh Dolphins hat, that is sick. It is very sick. I love it. I'm jealous. We got to get the Deion Sanders. Must be the money.
Oh, it's one of my favorite ones.
We got to get the money,
With the
money,
vest?
money, the OJs.
Yeah.
Money, money, money. Money. Look at that Dolphins hat. It's got me
Oh,
distracted.
I already saw him, and I asked him, how are you a New York fan and a Dolphin fan? And then he explained it.
Yeah, a lot of New Yorkers go down to
And-
Florida. They become Miami fans or whatever.
It's deeper than that,
He's a
but-
confused fan.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
okay.
Kenny is, the whole Knicks thing is done. We all have to hear about the Knicks until 2027 probably. But here's Dak Prescott on I do not play for the money.
Business is business. I'll leave it where it gets handled. Right now, it's about being my best for this team right now in this moment. OTA's helping these guys out and just focused on that. And I know my business will take care of itself. And so, been in it before, experienced, and just controlling what I can right now.
Why have you been able to be so patient when it comes to the business?
I don't play for money. Never have, never cared for it. To be honest with you,
Play for championships.
yeah, would give it up just to play this game. So I allow that to the business people to say what it's worth, what they're supposed to give a quarterback of my play, a person of my play, leader of my play, I guess you can say. And for me, it's about, as I said, control. I can control and handle that part, and the rest will take care of itself.
Now, you hear that, and I don't play for the money, and people are like, oh, yeah, right. Sure, Dak, you made $40 million a year the last X amount of years. I actually believe him. And I believe the majority of athletes don't, quote unquote, play for the money. The majority. I truly believe that. Do they want to be compensated? Absolutely. Do they want status that comes with that? And ego drives, the pecking order of how they want to get paid? Like, is Dak looking at Jared Goff right now? Oh, Jared Goff, X, I deserve X plus, right? Yeah, I'm sure he does. But I do believe the Steph Currys, I'll even throw Dak in there, the LeBron Jameses, the majority of the great players in the league are not playing strictly because of the money. There's just too much dedication. There's too much love of the game. There's too much competitive fire, pride, whatever you want to call it. I do not believe that isn't a ridiculous statement. Now, I do believe they want to be compensated. And I think that when the consumer hears that, they're triggered. Because the internet went wild yesterday, Monte.
Yeah.
Ripping Dak Prescott. And I got where he was coming from.
First of all, you brought up, he probably sees Jared Goff get money and say, oh, I deserve that or whatnot. There is a code, an unwritten code when it comes to professional athletes. You do not pocket watch and worry about what the next man is making. You do not pocket watch. You understand what that guy's making, but you don't bring up money. You don't talk about his money. You never do that stuff. It is just that it's a code with pro athletes. They don't do it. They know who's making what.
Yeah.
Trust me, they know it, but to question it or to comment on it, it's a no-no. It really is. So from that aspect, I'm sure Dak is like, look, he's happy for Jared Goff. These players, you got to remember, it's a fraternity. It's a brotherhood. The players against the owners, all the union reps and whatnot. The players are happy that each player's making money. They want everybody to eat. You know what I'm saying? In a perfect world, I know Dak Prescott will love for all 52 of his teammates that dress up on game day or 45, whatever it is on game day. Sure, he would love for all of them to make $40 million a year. He would.
Yeah.
That's how players operate. So in terms of that aspect of everything, the unwritten rule is you don't worry about what another man makes, and you're happy for that guy who's making that money. So Jared Goff, whoever shatters his record, he's going to be happy for. Nico Collins yesterday. So it's a big deal with the wide receivers. We look at Brandon Ayuk and Jawaan Jennings. Brandon Ayuk is probably ecstatic that Jawaan Jennings got some money. Ecstatic. Now, he wants his money.
Yes.
And he wants a lot more money.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a second. But generally, players are happy for other players. It's a fraternity, man. It's a brotherhood. So everybody's happy that everybody's eating out there, getting paid and flying charters and first class and living in luxurious hotels. They're all happy about that.
Don't we all in all our workplaces want to be compensated what we feel we're worth?
Absolutely.
Right? And
absolutely.
I think where there becomes a disconnect is that the money is so monopoly-like for the average human in America looking at these athletes that I think it creates kind of a craziness in the fans. And I'm one of them. I admit it. Like the Nick Bosa saga drove me crazy, right? I can't even fathom $1 million at one time, let alone $120 million guaranteed.
I know.
I can't even fathom that. I'm looking at it, and I was talking to Sam this morning. The median household income in America is $74,000.
Right.
In California, a single earner, $65,000.
Well, think about what it takes.
65.
Think about what it takes to live comfortably in California. 3-person household, you need about $400,000 in that household. Sounds crazy.
It does. And
I mean, that's some damn good money to be making. If you're making, as a household, over $400,000 a year,
you're making really
doing great. You're doing great for yourself.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we live in the Bay Area and we live in California.
Your expenses.
So that
your
money's
taxes,
not going too long.
Your expenses, whatever you're doing with your family and the cost of living and the home and shelter. There's so many different variables. And so when I hear all these athletes talk about money, I think, I'm not saying every fan. I really don't. But I do believe what it's done is it has created a fervor amongst the fans. If you're going to talk like Dak Prescott, if you're going to talk about the $50 million you want to make or the $60 million you want to make, and you're going to say it's just business, the second you struggle, I'm going to be in your Instagram comments and I'm going to be ripping you. And I'm seeing it bleed over to now the young players in sports, whether it's a Jonathan Kuminga, Marco Luciano yesterday. And I feel like fans now more than ever have zero tolerance and zero patience for anyone on any spectrum of the financial scale struggling.
Yeah, you can't make a mistake without getting ripped. It doesn't matter. And look, they're in a different league. We're going to play a Draymond Green soundbite in a second about money and some of the things he said on the Shaq podcast, which I disagreed with. And we'll get to that, and I can see how fans are mad about that. Because it just doesn't hit the same. You know, they're in a different tax bracket or whatnot. But again, they earned that. They earned their right, and the things they have to go through on a day-to-day basis. Making all that money, sure, it's great to make all that money. But we think we get it bad in terms of vitriol and somebody calling the saves. It is times 100,000 with these athletes. And I always tell people this. Here's the difference between us. You and I can walk into a Starbucks. Maybe somebody recognizes us. We have a little conversation. We're fine. We go on about our day. These guys can't even walk into a Starbucks by themselves.
No.
Without getting mobbed.
The majority
of them.
Of the high-profile ones in particular.
Ones, the Dak Prescott, the Draymonds, the Currys.
I would agree.
All these guys making big money. They cannot go into a Starbucks without getting mobbed or pestered for a picture or a selfie or an autograph. And the minute they don't do that, they get ripped. They get called a bad human being.
Yeah.
Or they may just be late picking up their son from school. They may be running late for an appointment. They can't sign every freaking autograph, but they get a bad rap. I think about Steiny and his hate. I don't know if it's real hate or whatnot, but he always talked about Dr. J, how he stiffed him for an autograph, and he held it against him for a long time. I got other friends who've held things against other players for stiffing them from autographs. But then I get it from the other side, the demand that they have in terms of community events, benefit, charity dinners, whatever it is, autographs, pictures. It is high. Plus, you're making the money. It's like, I just need a second to breathe.
Well, and I think that now let's put it into the fans' perspective. So you're hearing all of this, how much everyone's worth and how much everyone's making. And I always believe this, and people can disagree. The athletes are, in terms of, they're the product, right? But without the consumer consuming the product, you're not making the amount of money that you're making. It's just reality. Apple Plus is not paying $7 billion and Amazon $7 billion for the NBA if people didn't want to watch it, right? Yep. And so when your average consumer in the Bay Area is making $200 to $400, let's just say hypothetically in your situation, they're making decent money, and we talk about a Taylor Swift ticket price at $1,800. How many people are like, damn, I really want to take my kid to that who really wants to go? $1,800. So now when you hear about Brandon Ayuk holding out or whatever it is, like, I do believe on some level, and because of social media, because you can kind of say anything you want to whoever you want and be anonymous, I just think we've opened Pandora's box, and I'm not sure there's ever going back. And I just think that the money and the way they have to go about using their leverage, which we all would do if we had the opportunity, I do believe it's jaded all of the fans and to a degree, and a lot of them now want to run to social media, and when a Trey Lance, a Marco Luciano, Jonathan Kuminga struggles, get him out of here. I don't want to. I have zero grace. I have zero patience. Get him out of here. Kuminga has made $7 million a year for 3 straight years. He's 21. I don't care. I want to win championships. Like, it's just, there's this crazy give and take now with the money, and I think we're a little out of whack.
Well, watching Broke 30 for 30 on ESPN, when that was released, what was that, like a decade ago, maybe? 30 for 30 on Broke. And I remember when they first started printing out player salaries in the newspapers. It had not been done before. We're kind of aloof to how much these guys were making per year. Then they started printing them, and they started releasing them to the newspapers. This guy makes this much money. This guy makes this much money. So all of a sudden, the media knows what you're making. The fans know what you're making.
Yes.
And if you go through an 0 for 30 slump, all of a sudden, you suck. We're giving you all this money. This is why Dave Woodfield, I'm watching the Bronx Zoo now, and this is why basically Dave Woodfield and George Steinbrenner hated. There's a lot of things why they hated each other, but Woodfield signs one of the richest deals. He gets an extra $5, $10 million or whatnot, and Steinbrenner's unhappy because he said he's Mr. May, he's not Mr. October. We need rings. He's stuck in an 81 World Series, blah, 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 blah. So there's this rift between the owner and the player, and then it divides the fans, where the fans are saying, screw you, Woodfield, we paid you. And then some fans are saying, screw you, Steinbrenner, you've ruined him for continuing to slander his name in the tabloid. So the money will hedge, like Klay Thompson is a perfect example.
I'm glad you brought him up.
He made $43 million last year. In my head, I was like, look, he already signed a contract.
Yeah.
He signed a contract before he tore the Achilles tendon. That was going to be a going rate for him.
Yeah.
But since he tore that Achilles and he came back not the same player, I don't know if fans expected him to be the same player or expected him to be the same defender, but they saw $43 million attached to him, and they saw the production or lack thereof, and they're thinking, we overpaid for him. Get this bum out. This is Klay Thompson, who's 8 years ago, the other day, had one of the greatest Game 6s in NBA history against Oklahoma City. But because of that $43 million, nobody cared that he led the league in made threes. Nobody cared that he shot 41%. Nobody cared that he averaged 19. They cared about the money aspect, said, $43 million, we should be getting 25 and lockdown defense.
Well, and I'm glad you bring up like all the money, because when I go to games, I'm not necessarily sitting there going, he had to have $43 million. I'm like, hit a bucket. Don't hit a bucket. Now, maybe afterwards I'm thinking about it, but here's where I do believe, and not everyone, because I don't know how tapped in everyone is, but I do believe when we hear about you talking about your next contract and how you don't want to be, and I'm not saying Klay did this, but I don't want to be disrespected. It's got to be 31. It can't be 29 million. I do believe when we talk about how much the average American is making, especially in the Bay Area, you're looking at it and you're like, really, dude? And I'm not saying everybody. I do believe, though, it turns a lot of people off. And then when that guy struggles, what do? We run to our Instagram or our Twitter account that's anonymous. And we're like, you're making way too much money. Right. Had to squeeze us for the extra couple mil.
Pocket watching.
It is. And I just think that what ends up happening, I understand the athlete's point of view. I have a small window to make as much money as I can. There's a hierarchy in the league. There's a way to go about doing your business in the modern era to squeeze that leverage when you have it. We would all do it in our own professions if we had the opportunity. But I also understand, dog, I can barely afford to go to games and take my family.
Exactly. Can't.
And you're sitting here crying about $29 million.
Right.
So I just think the money and the sports and everything, I find this to be a very